the station with me right now, I have Rick Ferrante, who's the president of Home Care Services here in Santa Clarita. The website is homecaresantaclarita.com. We are in an interesting point of life right now, a lot of us, where we are what they call the sandwich generation, taking care of kids, taking care of teenagers, and taking care sometimes of our older relatives. Rick, thank you for being here today to talk to us about that.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, your organization, I've gone on your website, I've looked, and really you should just be called Angel Care Services with wings and halos, because it's the toughest thing when you go to figure out how to help someone who requires help and perhaps wants to stay in their home. And for home care services, you have, in-home caregiving, in-home living products, if people need to figure out, audiology and hearing aid issues, dietitian services. I mean, you really cover all the bases. And I love that your organization is here because I'm sure it's incredibly helpful to people. I have a question. What about the times when you're crossing that bridge for the first time and you're thinking to yourself, mom or dad or grandma, grandpa or uncle or whoever it is that you care about and you're taking care of, you want to broach the subject of the possibility of assistance. Can you talk me through a little of this?
Right. It's one of probably the most common problem or issue when we're talking about this, and it's both sides. So you have the senior. So let's take your mom or dad as an example. And that senior obviously is independent, has been their whole life. This isn't a child. This is your, parent. And they want to and maintain that independence as long as possible, just like you or I would or anybody would. And these are signs and scary signs of reducing or losing that independence. And unfortunately, too many people consider that as pretty much just, we're fine, cliff. Right? Just assisted living, and I'm just gone. As opposed to what's happening is so many people are living so much longer. There's this great period of time where they just need a little help. I mean, we're not talking about 24/7 all kinds of crazy stuff. They just need some transportation. Maybe just need a little bit of help around the house. Things that can't lift what I could lift before, that kind of thing. But it's signs to you, and so you've got this kind of reticence to even just address it. And then you also, with the children, say it's the son, daughter, whoever it is, What are they thinking? Oh, what I'm thinking about is the same issue. I'm also scared because that's a sign of my parent getting older, which is also me too, right? I'm getting old at the same time. And then it's a guilt. Oh, if I go and do all this, I look for somebody to do some care or whatever, then I'm not the daughter or son that I should be, right? So now you get these two things that converge. And what the reality is that when a son or a daughter or a niece or nephew or whoever it is becomes somebody that they're not sort of geared out to, which is a caregiver, a professional caregiver, somebody who knows what they're doing and can help somebody in their home, what happens? You lose that son or daughter. Right? And so that senior or whoever it is has to start to recognize that if they want to continue that family relationship that they really want and maintain the independence and do everything that they want, stay out of assisted living, etc., they have to find some help somewhere along the lines. And it's usually a combination of, family, friends, professionals, whatever it is, some combination. And then you continue to maintain that independence. You continue to maintain that family atmosphere. And so that's really what this is all about. Let's try to find solutions to do that.
So you're really helping families live a better life. And sometimes, like you're saying, it's not just you're fine, and then cliff, you fall off and suddenly you need to be put somewhere. And with home care services here in Santa Clarita, you can help people. First of all, I also want to mention that you also help with like geriatric therapy, financial services, and elder care attorneys. My gosh, it can be so overwhelming, especially for the person who's in the situation that all of a sudden they realize, wow, I've never taken care of these legal matters, or I've not looked into whatever, and now you can help them with little bite-sized pieces. You are really one-stop shopping for all those areas.
Yeah, when you have a situation where you sort of end up in here, number one, nobody ever thinks about this ahead of time, so they don't shop for it. You spend a lot more time shopping for your next car than you do for all these things that are really important for your mom or dad. I don't. Nobody does, right? You just don't even think about it.
Well, a lot of times they don't even want to talk about it.
No, nobody does.
My mom would say language like, "Ooh, let's go to that place to do that thing," and I'd have to figure out what she was talking about, and it was really some really life critical, matter that we need to take care of. So your organization helps with that.
Yeah, and so when you have a situation like that, it's not just one thing. You gotta if you're looking at help at home, maybe there's a caregiver, maybe there's just some advice for that, maybe there's ramps and rails you have to install, maybe there's a walker or a cane you've got to get. There's just all, like you said, elder care law attorney, meals. There's dietitian, those kinds of things. Now we don't do everything. What we do is we have partners in the community. Yes.
Yeah.
And we have partners in the community that are local, vetted, people that we trust that we can help with and say, okay, all these things that you're dealing with, let's go and put that whole package together. We'll bring in those experts. We'll bring in those people that know what they're doing to kind of find solutions for every piece.
Right.
So that this thing that you're not prepared for, that you didn't shop for, that nobody wants to talk about.
And it's very emotional.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Terribly emotional. And so
tough.
sometimes, if you're looking for solar paneling or you're looking to put in a new lawn, that's not that emotional. It's a financial thing.
Yeah.
But now you've got mixed up emotions. You've got the finances of it. You have the planning of it. I mean, I just can't imagine being that overwhelmed with the planning of helping to take care of someone someone who wants to stay in the home.
Yeah. What we tell people is, look, whether you become a client of ours or not doesn't really make any difference. Call us or just come by and sit down and talk with us, and let's help you out.
Nice.
And let's figure this out. I mean, there's a lot of times where it's just literally just advice. Okay, let's look at what assisted living is. Let's look at what in-home care is. Let's look at all these things are that you've got to kind of consider. Take in those options, take in whatever, all pieces of it, and then go through it. Does sometimes they become a client of ours? Sure. Sometimes they buy some products? Sure. And then other times it's just, look, let's just figure it out. Let's get some help. And it might not even be that.
I think sometimes, too, you're the card that's on the refrigerator for the day that, you actually need that. But I do believe this is a good conversation to have, even if someone's showing some signs of frailty or perhaps needing a little assistance. Again, I'm talking with Rick Ferrante, the president of Home Care Services Santa Clarita. If you'd like to get a hold of them, their number is 800-808-4777, and the website is homecaresantaclarita.com. I appreciate, the fact that, again, that you guys are there for the community. Can I ask you what led you in this direction? Is there a story there?
Yeah, there isn't, a specific story. I've certainly had family members like all of us had, or have, I'm sure, that have gone through these kinds of things. And then, every time you look at it, and every time there is, it's a crisis. It's just literally, and even now, being in the business, it's still going to be a crisis when that comes up, right? Nobody wants to think about it. So as my own parents, my own relatives and so on have gone through this, as I've looked at it, I've worked outside of the valley, I've worked, done other things. And when I decided I wanted to do something here in Santa Clarita, I looked at several different things and fell in love with this industry and this kind of thing.
I love that.
Every day, it is the coolest thing, because every day, whether we have a client or not, every day, it's without exception, we help somebody, at least one person.
I love that.
They just give a call, and it's great.
I love that. Rick Ferrante, again, of Home Care Services Santa Clarita. Visit their website, homecaresantaclarita.com, or give them a call if you just have questions, 800-808-4777. Thank you, sir, for being here and being in the community.
Thanks for having me.